Good morning, y'all, and welcome back to King RNG Legacy. My name is Ryan, and today we are going to start my BYU Dynasty for College Football 26. That's right, we're kicking it back off again. This one's going to have maybe a little bit more fanfare. I'm definitely going to get further than 3 games. Well, 2 games that I only ever showed you guys 1. That's my bad. I'm going to get further than 2 episodes this time. This one, we're just doing strictly BYU. I'd like to call it a rebuild, but technically it's not, because BYU is currently ranked number 24. If you look at the preseason rankings, which it's nothing to really think about, but you know, they're up there. So for this one, the big thing that we got to figure out real quick is what we're going to do at quarterback. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to do a little bit of a roster update. I'm going to get my first impressions of Dynasty as a mode in College Football 26. And then, yeah, we'll see where it goes from there. I don't know what all's going to be on this episode. I might jump into recruiting. I might not. I'm probably going to do less of that overall as part of this series, because it kind of takes up time, kind of kills the momentum. Whatever. I'm trying to figure it out as I go, and I appreciate y'all's patience, because it really helps that you come here to watch and you're very positive about your experience so far. So hopefully we can keep that going. So I had previously recorded a whole segment going through a team introduction, talking about the quarterback controversy with Jake Retzlaff leaving, talking about some of the recruiting, going over a bit of like a brief Dynasty intro, and then they updated the rosters. So Jake is no longer on the roster, and there's not even really so much of a controversy anymore, at least in my opinion, and what I'm going with. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But what that means is that I have to go through this all over again. I already did, as you can see, I already did recruiting for this first step, setting up the recruiting board. They were completely different recruits from the last time, completely different prospects. But I found a few that I was pretty excited about, so that'll be nice. If you want recruiting updates, let me know in the comments below, because I can incorporate them in. I can make them as brief or as detailed as y'all want them to be. So whatever you want, let me know, because I'm going to be doing it anyway. So whether it's on camera, off camera, whatever you want from that. But let's take a look at the team right now. Like I mentioned, quarterback's a little bit weird this year, but with Jake leaving, it kind of leaves really 2 options. They have this guy, Stephen Wakefield, in here, who's, from what I can tell, not a real guy. I don't know if he's based on somebody and they just couldn't use their name and likeness, or if he's just a placeholder. I don't think he's supposed to replace Jake, because he's a junior and Jake was a redshirt senior and he was significantly better. So I don't know what the deal is with this guy, but I'm going to try to ignore him. So instead, what my thinking right now is I'm going to go with McKay Hillstead as our day 1 starter. Depending on how well he does against Portland State, and in this case FCS West or whatever, he will either earn the job or lose the job. The only other person competing for the job is Trayson Bourget, and he'll also probably get some snaps in this FCS game, simply because I don't expect them to really put up much of a fight. I don't know how balanced the FCS teams are this year. They were a little uncontrollable last year, but we'll see what happens. But at quarterback, we're rocking with McKay for now. Steven's not really an option, so that's kind of solved on that front. On running back, we still got LJ Martin, we still got Sione Moa, we still got that name, and Enoch Nawahine. That's too much, man. I'm usually like, I attempt Polynesian names, and Haunga, I'm fairly confident, but Poka Iawa, probably just call him Pokey, because I don't know how you say that. He's an option later down the road. Freshman, so probably not super quick, but I am almost guaranteed to see LJ leave in the transfer portal. I mean, having a B and needing an A- is not too much of a difference, so maybe I can keep him for his last year, but I kind of expect to see him to leave, so I'm looking for Sione and Pokey to kind of step up, and then Enoch will be a difference maker in, I think he's a return guy, so that's cool. Fullback, we got Clay Russell. Don't know how much use he's going to get because I don't know how many packages. I don't know this offense super well, so I don't know how much work he's going to get on his side of the ball, but it's good to have a guy who can do something. He's actually not that good. Anyway, wide receiver, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Chase Roberts, and Tiger Bachmeier. It looks like this hasn't changed much. We got Cody Hagan, Parker Kingston. I did a play now game, or a couple, I don't remember, with BYU, and Cody Hagan was impressive. I really liked, I don't know, I tend to like appreciate players from the game sometimes more than in real life, if that makes any sense to anyone. But his performance, I felt like it was maybe not above this rating, but he was certainly consistent, and I appreciate that about him. Parker Kingston and JoJo Phillips kind of round out the options there, but then we've got LaMason Waller and Tay Nakua. Hi. Zoe is here. I don't think you can see her because she's too low, but she is here. She's ready for the fight. Moving on to tight end, we got Carson Ryan and Ethan Erickson, 2 seniors, so we're going to have a bit of a hole there coming into next year. Keegan will be an option, and so will Pierre Phillips, but we'll need to fill that out. And I do have a couple guys targeted already and recruiting for that to work out. On the offensive line, we've got a 76 at left tackle, 83 at left guard, 81 at center, 73 at right guard, and 80 at right tackle. So we're a bit weak at the guard spots, it looks like. No, never mind. Our left tackle and our right guard is a little weak. Joe Brown is a freshman, though, so I can't give him too much crap for that. Jake Griffin, a sophomore, so it's kind of the same thing. But I guess we'll try to make sure we're running outside to the right and inside to the left. And I'm going to forget that immediately after I jump into a game, so it's not going to matter anyway. But it seems like that's our only liability on offense so far. Defensive side of the ball, it's looking pretty solid as far as I can tell. I mean, Bodie Schoonover is not like elite necessarily, and it looks like he's probably going to leave. His deal breaker is pretty harsh. But on the right side, we got Logan Lutui, who just transferred. I believe he transferred down from Utah. I could be wrong, Utah guys. Forgive me. Oh, or maybe it was this guy. It doesn't matter, ultimately. Keanu Tanuvasa is in the center. Actually, our edges are not super great, but our defensive tackle is pretty solid. Yikes, I actually might not be in as good of a spot as I thought. Our linebackers are where we certainly excel. Isaiah Glasgow at an 88. Micah Kafusi. I don't actually know if that's how you say that, but Mike Kafusi here as a sophomore. Man, like everybody, the deal breakers are just ridiculous. Okay. Siale Ezra as our Mike. There are a lot more holes in this roster than I wanted to admit. Okay, Jack Kelly. So our outside linebackers with Isaiah Glasgow and Jack Kelly are pretty locked down, which is nice. We got a couple Kafusi boys in there too, just to, I don't know, keep things tight. Max Alford, Justin Burnett. You'll see redshirt things on here. I've already redshirted a few guys, mostly true freshmen, so that I have them later down the road. At corner, we've got Evan Johnson, Maury Bamba, Marcus McKenzie, Terrian Alexander III, Jonathan Cabella, and Jaden Dunlap. I didn't go through every other position group, so I don't know why I went through this one. But there you go. There's all the corners. Tanner Wall is our starting free safety. Preston Rex. I like Tommy Process. I thought had a really good year last year. Maybe it was just the one. I don't remember if it was an interception return, or if it was a punt return against. There was something. I think it was an interception return against K-State. Maybe it was Oklahoma State. It was a really good play at home. It was K-State because it was in their classic unis. That was a really good play, and I don't remember what exactly it was, but he had some pretty sparky highlights, I guess. So I'm kind of surprised to see him that far down. But Tanner Wall's going to be locking it down this year, I suppose. He can be our guy in the future. And then Raider DeMooney, which I think he used to be a corner, because I remember seeing DeMooney at corner before, and he's now going to be our strong safety. So it's looking like for a little bit. So that's nice. At kicker, Will Farron and Sam Vanderhaar at punter. So overall, especially with the departure of Jake Retzlaff, I don't know. The roster's looking a little sketchier than I thought it would at this point. So I'm not as confident going into this as I would, but I'm here to have fun. So that's the more important part, and that's what I'm really looking forward to. We're going to be building it up from where we are. I wouldn't say from scratch again, but we're building up from where we are to a future that's brighter. Number 14 is a lot to live up to, but you never know until the season really shakes out. Let's dive into this thing. We're going to go ahead and jump ahead to week 0, which I think is a bye week for us. So I guess I could have looked at the schedule. Let's pop on it over into the schedule. I didn't want to, too bad. I didn't want to, man, that's so many players. Look at this. Like, it's just ridiculous. Yikes, man. Like, I get it, because the transfer portal is supposed to be more volatile because of, well, improvements, and that's kind of how it is in real life, but it's just so many, like, really solid guys that I really wish wouldn't transfer, and I don't know what to do. There's not much I can do about it right now, and this is probably more, but I don't know how to do it, so that kind of sucks. But brand exposure, I can't do anything about that right now. That's just got to go up. Playing time is kind of the same thing, but he's not too much of a risk compared to the other guys. Bottom line, retaining players has gotten a lot harder this year. There is a slider for it. I don't know if I've shown that to you yet, because I did that in the previous video that I'd recorded. But there's a way to kind of tone it down a bit, and honestly, I might do that just because I play favoritism. I'm gonna be really open about that. Yeah, it's definitely harder than it used to be, and I'm kind of scared about it because I don't like losing guys that I've brought onto the team, especially if they're a few years in, because then I've grown attached to them. But I can always find new guys, I suppose. I mean, BYU is going to be a landing spot for talent forever, so it's possibly even more of an accomplishment to win with a team full of 3 and 2 stars than it would be with 4s, 5s, and the occasional 3. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. It should still be fine. It should still be fun. Let's take a look at the team schedule. So this is we're currently in week 0. We've got, I wouldn't say a gauntlet, but we got some tough stuff ahead. First up, FCS Northwest. That's what it was. That's actually Portland State in real life, but you know, can't win them all, I guess. And then we've got Stanford at home. So it's back-to-back home games, and then we go to Stillwater for, don't go back. We go to Stillwater for Oklahoma State to start our conference play. Apparently they don't actually play that game in real life this year, so I don't know what game got swapped out, but we followed that up with a trip out to Greenville, North Carolina for East Carolina, the Pirates. That should be an interesting game because East Carolina is a bit of a wild card in my opinion. Pretty much the American Conference is always a wild card in my opinion. So especially on the road, could be a tough one, but I don't anticipate losing it. We got, kind of depends on how we play, I guess. Then we go down to Houston. We've got Utah at home. We got Iowa State in Ames. Arizona State and Texas Tech are both coming to Provo back to back. We go down to Fort Worth for TCU. K-State's coming back to Provo for some reason. And UCF is coming to Provo. And that'll round out the year. So these last 6 games are going to be kind of tough. I know TCU and UCF haven't necessarily performed at the top of the conference in the last few years, but TCU is kind of, again, always a wild card. They could go either way. And UCF has, I think, pretty much a whole new program at this point. They've got Scott Frost. I know that doesn't really impact the game, but I don't know, it could. Anyway, at the end of it all, the goal is to make it to the conference championship game in Dallas. And I mean, who knows if that's going to happen, but we're certainly going to try it. I'm going to jump into recruiting. Again, I'm not going to make it a focal point of these episodes unless you want me to. So for the first few, probably even the first season worth of videos, I'm probably not going to do as much with recruiting. Don't let that discourage you. If you want it, let me know. But for now, I'm going to jump in, and then when I get back, it will be simming to the next week. So see you then. All right, gang, I don't know how well that recruiting sesh went. We'll find out. I don't have an optimal plan as far as recruiting goes. I think I've mentioned a few times, I kind of just play with whoever I get. I did get an auto commit from a scholarship. He was a guard, I think, 4-star. So that's cool. I already have that locked down, which is nice. But we're going to advance the next week because it's going to have the little recruiting summary in between. And we'll see what happened. Hopefully it's enough-ish. I am going after, so far, it's only 5-star and 4-stars. Okay, a lot happened. So this helps because now I get to trim down my recruiting class. So that's always good because you can't keep going after 4 and 5 stars always. I didn't expect any of these guys to stick with me. I'm really excited to see George Knox here because he's the 4th overall quarterback. So I'm just realizing he's a pocket passer, but that's okay because I like pocket passers. So anybody who didn't get wiped is I'm moving up. So Zaire LeCount. Ooh, we're fighting with Utah on that one. So I'm going to put some more points into him. 2 right tackles here. We did slide on Marvin Champion, so that might be a directive to get rid of him. Yeah, okay, so things did not go super well. I'm still in a prime position on a few guys. Pretty excited about George Knox not immediately kicking me out. We're going to have to go up against Michigan. Surprised it's only Michigan, but I guess he's in Massachusetts, so maybe nobody else is looking at him. You would think that Boston College would want. Maybe he's already knocked Boston College out. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Point is, he's still on our board. So as a first order of business here in week 1, there it is, FCS Northwest. I do want to jump into that game today, but I am going to jump back into recruiting, I think a little bit more to try and see. No, you know what? No, I'm going to do it now while I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to jump back into recruiting. I'm going to fix this board because there's a lot of locks on there. So obviously not good. Russ Winthrop was our auto commit out of Overland Park, Kansas. The best guard in the state and the 4th guard in the... Wait, what? Oh, yeah, the 4th guard in the position group. So pretty high profile talent. And he has some pretty good blocking abilities, some solid mentals. So he's going to be pretty fun. Yeah, I'm really lucky to snag this guy. Hi again, everybody. Editing Ryan here. I had initially planned on putting the intro bit and the first game together in one episode, but I decided not to do that. I want to space it out a bit more. Gives me more time to make a better cut of the video so that I can release on a more timely schedule, and it doesn't put as much pressure on recording a lot. So I had to come in here and let you know that. So I kind of trail off at the end there after I talk a little bit about recruiting. So it didn't seem like a good place to actually end the videos. I wanted to kind of, I don't know, tell you that. So I did do a little bit more recruiting at the end there. I filled in the recruiting board with players that are a little bit lower caliber than the guys I had on there. So if I remember right, this is several weeks after I actually recorded that stuff. If I remember right, there were some pretty interesting candidates on the board there, and I'm looking forward to actually snagging some more guys. Still got that guard. Hopefully he doesn't decommit. That would derail the whole thing. But other than that, I think that's kind of all that I wanted for this intro bit. Despite what I said, I am looking forward to this season. I do think once we get further on in the dynasty, things are going to be a little bit better. But that's just, I think, more preference because they're going to be guys that I brought in. I'm also, as another note, planning on bumping down the transfer slider. So there's a way to restrict. I don't think I'm going to restrict the max amount of players to transfer out, but I think I am going to bump down the likelihood that they transfer out so that I can actually retain the guys that I want, because that's the whole point of doing recruiting in the first place. I understand the place for a more random, I guess, transfer portal, but I want mine to be a little bit more calm, a little toned down. So I am going to bump that down a little bit. I'm also considering still, I kind of mentioned this in previous videos, the timeline and like the expiration date, for lack of a better word, completion date, where this dynasty is going to end. And right now I'm thinking either we go for 8 years, which just seems like a good time. And since I'm trying to use this as a way to figure out dynasty mode and the new recruiting settings and transfer portal and all that, since I'm using this as a way to figure that out, that should give me enough time to do so, but also not be too short, because I do want to get a few of the guys that I'm actually recruiting into the rotations. 5 years just seemed too short, because that's essentially just one cycle of rotation. That gets all of our true freshmen from this year out and replaces them with just a new cast of characters. So I want to actually have some kind of ownership, I guess, of the BYU identity. So I'm thinking 8 years. All that to say, that's it for this episode. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey. As always, thank you all so much for watching the video. I really appreciate the support that I've been getting on this series and all of the other series I have across all of my channels. It's really nice to know that when I put something out there, it's going to be well received by people who love and appreciate it. So thank you for making me a part of your life, even if it's just through this content. If you want to follow me on social media to stay up to date on all of my posts and content uploads, I'm King RNG Productions on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter it's King RNG Prods, because Productions didn't fit in the username for some reason. So I'm going to post on each of those right before I upload, or I guess rather when I schedule the upload. So that should be the day before it actually comes out. So if you want, the first chance to jump on any future videos, that's going to be your source. I hope you all have a wonderful day after this, and don't forget, it's always a great day to do something amazing.